Hi, Laura back again, and this time with a question from L5M4. And I've chosen this one because it comes from Learning Objective 3, which students seem to struggle with. And so I've put together an example of a question which may appear on your exam and have gone through an answer to try and make you feel more comfortable with some of that Learning Objective 3 material. And so the question that we're going to be looking at is as follows. Compare and contrast the use of spot, forward and derivative instruments in foreign exchange. So there's quite a lot in this question that you need to break down. Essentially, you need to compare and contrast. So that means throughout the question, to be able to answer the question and get the maximum marks, you need to be able to say how these things are similar and how they differ. And you can do that as you're going along, or you could do that at the end. I recommend doing it as you go along in your answer. Also, you need to explain what spot, forward and derivative instruments are, which we shall do. And the context is all about foreign exchange. So everything that you're saying, you have to link back to currency, to foreign exchange. So let's have a look at this question's answer. Let me make this full screen for you. So in finance, a derivative is a contract that derives its value from the performance of an underlying entity. So this could be a currency or it could be a commodity, say, for example. And when we're talking about forward and derivative instruments, we need to talk about these four things: futures contracts, forwards contracts, options, and swaps. So futures are financial contracts that obligate a buyer to buy an asset or a seller to sell at a later date at a predetermined price. Forwards is a forward contract formed when one party wants to sell and one wants to buy at a specified future price and date. So you can see that futures and forwards are doing the same things. They're obligating a buyer and a seller to buy or sell at a later date at a specified price. So this is what's known as hedging, which I'll talk about more in a moment. Options are derivatives that give the buyers or sellers the right to buy or sell an underlying asset, i.e. currency, at a future date at a predetermined price. And swaps are an agreement between two parties to exchange money on a predetermined date or multiple dates. And we're going to drill into each of these. Now, I'm well aware that when some students see financials, I've done this myself in the past, your brain just goes, no, absolutely not. I don't want to learn this. But it's not actually that bad. Once you break through the jargon and what it's trying to say, these are things that allow you to manage your risk. And in fact, some of them allow you to make a big profit as well. So let's drill into each of these areas. And remember, we've got to compare and contrast in particular. So as I said, these approaches are all forms of hedging. And a hedge is an investment that is made with the intention of reducing the risk of adverse price movement in an asset. So what that means in common sense English is that we are hedging our bets. What we are trying to do is ensure that the price doesn't go up too much and we end up paying a fortune. So all of these, particularly forward and futures, are a way of hedging the risk. So let's look at forwards versus futures because these are very, very similar. A forward contract is a commitment to sell or buy an asset at a specified price. We've already said that. And it's not standardized and can be customized. What that means is that you can create your own agreement. So you can have as many dollars or pounds or yen as you might want. And it can be customized to that particular deal. You don't have to use a standard kind of model form. It's not traded on a currency exchange, but it's private agreements between two parties. So it's an agreement between a buyer and a seller, a private one. And because this is just between them, it's referred to as over-the-counter transaction. It's not done on the currency exchange, but it's an agreement between two parties. Now, it's not regulated, which means that there is more risk. Whereas if you use a futures contract, it is regulated because it's not being created by a currency exchange. However, it can be more flexible to meet your needs, especially if you're buying a smaller amount of currency. Futures contracts are financial instruments used to buy or sell a specified amount of foreign currency at an agreed price at a set time in the future. So we've already said this. The difference between futures and forwards is that futures is a much larger contracts. These are offered via market exchanges, such as Forex, foreign exchange. So I want you to think of it almost like a model form contract, that it is a agreed template created by the market exchange, by Forex, and it's regulated. So you can't customize it. It's a standardized approach. You've got to go with whatever is in that template. And it has minimum lot sizes. Minimum lot sizes means minimum amounts that you have to buy. So for example, if you were going to buy bushels of wheat, you would have to buy 5,000 bushels of wheat at a minimum. So companies who are buying a lot of currency or commodities would use a futures contract because it's regulated, there's less risk, and you know what you're working towards. However, if you've got smaller amounts, then and you can't meet the minimum lot size, i.e. the minimum amount that you need to buy, then you'd probably go down the over-the-counter forward contract rate. So remember, we're comparing and contrasting here. So they are similar in that they are both reducing the risk of adverse price movements. They are hedging the risk. And they are different in that forwards is not standardized and can be customized, whereas futures can't. It's fully standardized. Forwards are not traded on a currency exchange, but private agreement over the counter, whereas futures are offered via a market exchange like Forex. Forward contracts are not regulated, whereas futures are, and forward contracts do not have minimum lot sizes, which futures contracts do. So that would be the basis of the majority of the answer with forward and futures. Now, one thing I have done in this question is to kind of rush into the more difficult ones and get those out the way. We also do need to talk about the spot market as well. So we'll come back to talk about that at the end. So you need to address everything that the question is asking for. So let's talk options and swaps now. So currency options are a little bit different than forwards and futures. They give a buyer the option or the right, but not the obligation, to buy or sell currency at the strike rate or strike price agreed. So let me explain that a moment. Options are where a buyer will take out an option to buy or sell a currency at a set agreed rate, known as the strike rate or the strike price. These options are divided into two categories: call or put. The right to buy is a call option. The right to sell is known as a put option. And to take out this option, the buyer has to pay a premium. A premium is the price the buyer of the option pays for the right to buy or sell the currency at a specified rate. So let me just explain that a little bit. Essentially, let's think of it as $2. So I'm going to buy some currency. I'm going to buy some dollars. So I'm going to take out the option, i.e. pay the premium for the option to buy dollars because I think the price is going to go down. So I'm going to pay my $2 premium for the right to do that. And it gives you the right to buy or sell currency at that specified rate on or before a specified maturity or expiration date. What that means is that the option will expire at a certain point. And in the US, you can use your option at any point before maturity. In Europe, it's only at expiration date that we can do anything with. But this premium is paid when an option contract is established. So I take out an option to buy or sell dollars. I pay my $2 premium to be able to do this. And what I do is I wait and see. If the market price gets higher and it becomes higher than my strike price, i.e. the price of the option, I am going to buy the option because I'll get it at a cheaper price than the market. If the market price falls and my strike price is higher than the market price, what I will do is I will allow the option to expire and buy it on the market cheaper. The benefit of this is it hedges the risk because the only thing that I'm going to lose here is that $2 premium, but I could potentially make a lot of money. So options are essentially giving you that get out clause. So you watch the market. If it goes where you want it to go, then you can use your option rate. If not, you can let it expire. And the only thing that you've lost is that $2 premium. So it's a risk management approach. It can be used to speculate and make money as well. But in terms of this concept, we're going to say that it's more of a risk management approach. Then we have currency swaps. Currency swaps is where a specific amount of currency, known as the principal, is exchanged. One party lends or swaps their currency, for example, dollars, to the second party, who in turn lends and swaps their currency, for example, euros, to the first party. Now, the reason why they do this is because they get better rates. So one of the most commonly used currency swaps is when companies in two different countries exchange loan amounts. They both receive the loan they want in the currency they want, but on better terms that they could get by trying to get a loan in a foreign country on their own. So if they use an example of, say, General Electric and Hitachi. Hitachi is a Japanese company who will be able to get better rates for Japanese yen in their Japanese banks than the American company General Electric. If Hitachi want dollars, then General Electric are going to be able to get a better rate for dollars in their American bank than a Japanese firm would. So what they do is they both take out the loan for X amount of currency for their own banks, and then they swap it so they get the better terms. So they're hedging the risk of not paying these extra interest rates and so on. So currency swaps is one of the most simple approaches. Essentially, both just take out a loan and then they swap it over, and they both get a better rate. Options is a way of minimizing our risk just to that premium that we've paid for the option. So we can make a lot of money if the market goes in the way that we think it's going to, but if it doesn't, then we've minimized our risk to that $2 premium, whatever it may be that we've paid. Now, remember, we have to finish off the question and make sure we address everything. And the key here is to ensure that we compare and contrast. All of the financial derivatives we just looked at, all four can be used to hedge the risk of the price going in a way that we don't want it to. Some are more regulated than others. For example, futures contracts are heavily regulated. Options mean that we can make money but not lose much. So you're limiting your loss to that $2 premium, for example. And forwards and futures fix the price for that set period of time. Now that can either be customized or the standardized template that you would get from the currency exchange. The only thing that we've got left to talk about is the spot market. And the spot market is where financial instruments like currencies and commodities are traded for immediate delivery. So the way to think about this is when you go and buy currency for yourself, when you're going on holiday, you are buying currency from the spot market with the spot price at that period of time. So because the pound is quite low, we might want to use some of these other options that we've talked about here, rather than taking the risk of that terrible low spot price in the market. So hopefully you found this useful. Do remember that they can ask multiple questions on this, because they could ask it on currencies or commodities or both. And so do try and get your head around options, swaps, futures and forwards as much as possible. YouTube is your friend on this. There's lots of different YouTube videos that can help you here. Hope you found this useful. Best of luck in your exam. Bye for now.